When Secretary Shinseki took office a year ago, here's the VA that he was looking at. A VA that had been underfunded for many, many years. A VA that, had it not been for the independent budget that was put forward by our VSO leaders, would have been far less than what we needed to take care of our vets. And a VA that was facing some demographic changes that people had not really thought about in advance. So we're looking at a population of veterans that is changing, but also a population of veterans that maybe we've forgotten about. We have right now our Vietnam vets who are entering retirement age. Some of you have already retired, some of you are getting ready to retire. So you have this population of veterans who are now, after 40 years, coming back to VA. And so there's a large population that's going to need to be taken care of with medical care and your benefits. It's a population that is now oftentimes just developing illnesses and just developing problems that are a direct result of what happened to you 40 years ago in Vietnam. And some of those illnesses, such as Parkinson's, that are caused by Agent Orange, are just now showing up. And so also it's a population that, as they're retiring, are losing employer-provided health care and now need health care. So they're coming back to VA. And this is a large growth in this population group that we should have known about, we should have been tracking, and we have been, but really is now hitting us right now at the very same time that we have a war that's been going on for over 7 years with all of those young vets who are coming back to VA with their own needs. And so we have to figure out a way to take care of the needs of our young veterans and their demographics and still maintain the promise that we made to our Vietnam veterans and our Korean War veterans and our World War II veterans, and make sure that we live up to the promises that President Eisenhower made, let alone the promises that President Obama is making, and that we have to keep that promise. And so with our young vets, we have some really interesting demographics that are happening as well. They are, more than ever, people are suffering polytrauma. People like me, who in a previous war would not have survived, would not have made it home. They're coming home with multiple things wrong with them. They're not just having post-traumatic stress disorder, but they also have an injury to their brain. And sometimes the symptoms of post-traumatic stress are very similar to the symptoms of a brain injury, where you actually have a bruise on your brain. For example, you heard the part of your brain that controls your emotions. You could be someone who's very quick to get angry. You could be someone who lashes out very quickly. Is that a sign of post-traumatic stress, or is it the brain injury? We don't know. So there are these things that are many things happening at the same time. And we need to make sure that we take care of all of those needs. We also have in this young population the largest number of female veterans coming back. And in fact, and you're going to be really surprised at this number, because I was, of all of our women who have served in Iraq and Afghanistan, 44% have come to VA for health care. 44%, almost half of the women who have served in Iraq and Afghanistan have come to VA and asked for care. The average rate is usually about 20% of our veterans actually come to VA for care of all the veterans who have served, and yet the women are sitting at 45% for Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. The next largest group of veterans that come to us for health care out of Iraq and Afghanistan are Latino veterans, who are sitting at about 30-something% of them are coming. And so we're seeing a changing in the demographics and a changing of the needs for our vets. I don't know a single VA hospital that has, for example, an obstetrics department, yet you have for the first time in our nation's history, combat veterans giving birth. Y'all been having babies for years, but y'all ain't been giving birth. Now you have combat vets giving birth, and VA has to make sure that we meet those needs just as well. And so that's what we're looking at. So what happened last year was, thanks to our VSO advisors with the independent budget and everything, all the hard work and our legislators, we had a budget that was the largest increase in 30 years. It was an 18% increase over the previous year. So that's 2010, that's where we are right now. The current budget that's in front of the members, it's in front of Congress, and I think you're going to get to vote on here sometime soon and get to discuss, actually gives us a $25 billion increase over the baseline. It is also the largest increase in 30 years over the next 2 years, because thanks to our VSOs, we now finally have advanced funding Thank goodness for that. And so we have, in contrast to other departments, we have a budget increase, whereas other departments across government are actually getting a budget cut. And so the president has made this commitment, the secretary is fighting for this commitment, and we are increasing our services and our availability and our benefits to all of our vets. So that's where we sit, with Vietnam vets coming back, with their issues, and then also with young vets coming back and trying to maintain services to everyone. I'm going to close by talking to you about why I do my job. I could right now go home with my VA pension and never have to work again and be okay. And go home and just worry about me, and nobody would ever fault me for doing that. But I don't. I don't for the same reason that you don't. I don't for the very same reason that each and every one of you are here in this room today, even though you've already done your service. You've already worn the uniform. You've already been to combat, or if you weren't overseas, you've already, served your nation honorably. But you're still here. You're still here doing this, and I'm pretty sure you're not doing it for the money or the glamour. Because if there's money or glamour involved, I need to know. Because I got to go stand in that line, right? I'm pretty sure each one of you is not doing this because anybody's paying you. For most part, most of you are paying dues and getting fined $5 as your cell phone rings in order to serve your buddies. And that's what it's about. It's about buddies. Jerry said earlier about why why do I keep doing what I'm doing? I'm doing it because of my buddies. And I think of my buddies, and I think of all of you as my battle buddies. And then for those of you who don't know what a battle buddy is, the vets you all know, but a battle buddy is your best friend that the Army issues to you. Right? It's a guy that you show up in basic training, and they issue you this guy who's your battle buddy. He could be from Hawaii or Alaska or Tennessee for all you know, and you never seen him, don't have anything in common with him. He could be from a different economic background, different race, different gender. It doesn't, that's your buddy. And you cover each other, and you take care of each other. And I think of each one of you as my battle buddies because I knew who my battle buddy was in Iraq. But I didn't know when I was still serving that I had battle buddies in the veteran community who were already taking care of me before I even knew that I was going to need that care. And that's where the VSOs come in. That's where each and every one of you come in. When I got hurt, and I was unconscious for like 8 or 9 days, and when I finally woke up, one of the first people I met is Tom Porter. He's a Korean War vet. Tom Porter lost his legs in the Korean War, stepping on a landmine. He's a below-knee amputee on both sides. And he walks the halls of Walter Reed 2 days a week, has been doing it for 7 years, since the start of the war, and he's there to visit the young guys and gals coming home. He and his wife, Eleanor. And Elle was an Army physical therapist that he met at the hospital recovering and got her to marry him after. So, but here's what Tom does. And Tom is my battle buddy in the world of amputation. Tom stands at the foot of your bed when you're laying there thinking your world has ended, and when you're a 24-year-old young man, and 3 days ago, you were a stud. You were the guy that came in wearing the body armor who scooped up the defenseless civilians and carried them to safety. You were the guy that came in and fought the terrorists. And now you're laying in a bed and you can't even go to the bathroom on your own. And you're laying there and you have no legs or you're missing an arm. And Tom is standing at the foot of your bed, and he's 80 years old now. I met him when he was 76. Tall, strong, and he looks at you and he goes, "You're going to be fine."